27th Sunday in Ordinary Time. We are going to read from the Gospel of Luke chapter 17 verses 5 through 10. Two independent sayings in today's Gospel. One is on the power of prayer, and the second is on the responsibilities of the disciples of Jesus. Let's look at the first. The disciples said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." It's important to note here that faith is not something that God gives to us. Faith is not something that God sort of randomly gives. To some, he gives a whole lot. To some, he gives, a little bit more than average. To some, he gives exactly what they need. And to some, he gives very little. And to some, he gives nothing. Faith is not something that God gives to us. It's not something that comes from God. Faith is our response to the graces that we receive from the Lord. Faith is what we receive according to how open I am and how open you are to receiving this relationship with the Father. The more I am open to receiving from the Father, the more I am able to grow in faith. So faith depends on my openness and not on the generosity of God. You would say to this mulberry tree, "Be uprooted and planted in the sea," and it would obey you. This is very important. Jesus is teaching us that very little faith is actually needed to do great things in our life. To have effective authority over the things of this world, a lot of faith is not needed. What is needed is for us to put into practice and to use the very little faith that we may have, or the adequate faith that we may have. Jesus gives us the image of the mustard seed, which is the smallest of all the seeds, but yet the mulberry tree is known to have grown such intricate, deep roots that it can live up to 600 years. And therefore, 600 years worth of roots are very difficult to uproot. And yet Jesus says that if you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mulberry tree, "Be uprooted and planted in the sea," and it would obey you. So very little faith. One should be concerned not about having lots of faith. One should be concerned about using the faith that you have. If you have even just a little bit of faith, put it into practice. Put your money on it. Put it into practice. Put it to work, and you will do great things. The second part of the gospel responds to the responsibilities of the disciples of Jesus. Who among you would say to your servant who has come in from plowing or tending the sheep in the field, "Come here immediately and take your place at table"? Were he not rather say to him, "Prepare something for me to eat, put on your apron and wait on me while I eat and drink? You may eat and drink when I am finished." Is he grateful to that servant because he did what he commanded? Jesus is speaking some things that are very true. Jesus is speaking to us about the responsibilities of his disciples. That the person who chooses to follow Jesus can expect to be plowing fields, tending the sheep, cooking, cleaning, and serving. And that all of these things are just part of what is expected to us. We should do these things freely. We should put ourselves in the service of God's kingdom freely. That we are not expected to request a certificate of appreciation or a certificate because we did good things. We shouldn't be the disciple of the month. We shouldn't expect a pat in the back every time that we do what we're expected to do, because this is exactly what we are called to do. This is part of our livelihood. This is part of our identity. And the story of the servant is not about being politically correct or even about being considerate to the servant. This is not about appearing politically correct. Jesus is teaching about obligations of the one who is in service, not about the responsibilities of the one being served. The disciple of Jesus should expect a similar outcome. We have been called to labor. And when we have fulfilled our duty, the thing that we have required to do, that's all we expect. There is no special recognition. We should not expect more than being able to work in the Lord's vineyard. So when you have done all you have been commanded, say, "We are unprofitable servants." We have done what we were obliged to do. Jesus is telling us that the servants are unprofitable not because they don't do good work, but because they are called to serve in a particular time and place. And then the day will come when we can no longer do what we were expected to do, and someone else will take our place. We will be replenished. We will be replaced. The rewards of discipleship must be sought in discipleship itself. The rewards of serving the Lord should be sought and being of servant and in nothing else. There is no other recognition. There is no other bonus other than being a servant of the Lord. God bless you.